The information on this tape was correct at the time of recording, October 1990.
Hello, I'm John Henty, and on behalf of British Telecom, in association with St Dunstan's and the Talking Newspaper Association of the United Kingdom, I present Soundings, a monthly audio magazine designed with the blind and partially sighted in mind. British Telecom has asked me to produce this tape to help people with a visual handicap who may have difficulty using public payphones. On side 2, we have an explanation of BT's Directory Inquiries service and how it will remain a free service if you have a disability which prevents you from using printed directories. But first, payphones. And BT operates around 90,000 public payphones in the street, at airports, railway and tube stations, motorway service areas, shopping centres and in rural locations. All are modern electronic press-button cash payphones or phone card phones, and over 95% of them are in working order at any one time. BT also provides phone card phones on British Rail intercity trains and a number of ferries. On this side of our tape, Des Chandler, who's a St Dunstaner and a regular contributor to Soundings, talks with Patricia Vaz, head of BT's payphone services. He asked her first how a blind or partially sighted person would actually find a payphone.
Well, Des, we're putting payphones in places where most people would expect to find them, such as railway stations, motorway service areas and in town centres. And most of our payphones now are in the modern housings, and they're very well lit, very easy to see if you're partially sighted, as they have a very big yellow T on the sides of the kiosks, and the cash phones have a yellow sign on them, and the card phones have a green sign on. Of course, for people who are totally blind, it is very, very important that they find the locality of their nearest payphone, and they can always be helped to find this by going to either a post office or to their nearest BT building, who will tell them where the nearest payphone is, and they can learn where it is and find it easily.
It's always a good idea to know where your local payphone is. Right, we've come to a payphone here now. I'm actually going to make a call now, so if we can go through it, Patricia.
Yes, and this is a cash phone that you're using here, Des.
Right. Now, of course, it's much easier these days. We've only got the one slot to put our coins in, and that's located in the top right-hand corner, is it?
That's right, the top right-hand corner of the box, just the one slot, as you say, and you can put any of the coins, the 10 pence, the 20 pence, the 50 pence, or the pound coin, into that one slot. And the box will sort out the money inside the box for you.
Right. I can't actually put like 2 5p coins in.
No, you can't. Now we've modernised these boxes. They won't any longer be able to take the 2 pence or the 5 pence coins.
Right, I'm just going to drop my 10p in to make a local call. Right. Now, actually, while we've been talking, I've been holding the receiver, and I've got a discontinued tone. So all I can do is press a...
Yes, you press the follow-on call button, which is located just underneath where the handset rests. It's a square button. Just press that.
Oh, that's quite handy. So I don't have to put the telephone receiver down again and pick it up.
No, you don't, Des. Just press that button. You should get dial tone back again.
So I'll press that. There, I get my dial tone again. I've got my fingers on the keypad now, which is located just underneath the slot, more or less in the centre of the phone.
That's right, and it's laid out in the standard format for keypads, with 1, 2, 3 along the top row, 4, 5 and 6 along the second row, and 7, 8, 9 along the third row, and then the bottom row, the 0, is in the middle of the 3 buttons.
I notice there's a button on the left and on the right of the 0 button. What are those buttons?
Yes, those buttons are the star and hatch buttons, and they're used when you're trying to make a charge card call, which is a special facility, not normally used for normal cash phone calls or for phone card calls.
Now I've got my fingers on the button here, and what I do is I use my index finger, my middle finger and my third finger on my right hand, and I actually run them down the buttons, so they're always on the actual buttons themselves. So if I wanted to press a 1, a 4 or a 7, it'll be with my index finger. If I wanted to press a 2, a 5, a 8 or a 0, it'll be with my middle finger, and the 3, the 6 and the 9 will be pressed with my third finger. That way it cuts out any risk of dialing a wrong number, which can be frustrating. By the way, Patricia, quite a funny one I had the other day is somebody actually dialed a wrong number and phoned my house, and I picked it up, and he said, sorry, I just phoned you to tell you that I've dialed the wrong number.
Right.
Which,
quite amazing.
It was quite quick. I thought it was very good.
Yes.
Right, I'm just going to drop my 10 pence coin into the slot. Now, what happens, Patricia?
Right. If you're making a local call, Des, it's always better to put a 10 pence in first, because that's the minimum call charge. If you do want to make a number of calls, you can put up to 50 pence or even a pound coin in there, and instead of ringing off with the switch hooks at the end of each call, just press that follow-on call button at the end of one call, and you'll get dial tone back, and you continue to use the money that you've put in the box.
Now, what happens if I actually only got a 50 pence coin on me?
Right.
And I only sort of talk for 10 pence worth?
Yes, well, unfortunately, if you only want to make the one call and you've only got that 50 pence, then you can't get change out of this phone. So it's very important, if you're only going to make one call and it's a local call, that you try to use smaller coins than the 50 pence.
That's right.
If you've got a number of calls to make, of course, you can use that follow-on call button and still use the rest of the 50 pence that's in the box.
So if I actually finished talking to one person and I want to talk to another person, I can actually just press the follow-on button and just dial again without pulling the telephone receiver down.
Indeed you can, and without putting any more money in. If you've still got some money left out of that 50 pence, you will be able to make it up to another 4 calls.
It saves a lot of hassle. And actually now, if I actually put my 10 pence in again,
Yes.
and say the line's engaged, for instance, if I wanted to get my money back, because there's no actual button on the telephone for me to receive my money back.
It's quite simple, Des. You just replace the receiver on the hooks, wait for a second or two, and you will hear the money drop down into the return money chute at the bottom of the box here.
Right, let me put the phone down, and there it drops through. And of course that's located underneath the buttons, is it?
Yes, just follow right way down from the bottom of the buttons. It's on the right-hand side at the bottom of the box.
There we go.
And there's a little flap, you press it forward, and you collect the money that's been returned.
And I've got my money back. Of course, British Telecom aren't the only people who have payphones.
No, that's quite right, Des. Mercury are now putting payphones into a lot of locations, particularly in the London area. Mercury phones don't take cash, and they don't take the British Telecom phone card. You would have to buy a special Mercury card to use their telephones.
Right, I think that covers the payphone. Let's move over to the card phone, shall we?
Fine. Come with me, Des.
Rightio. Right, Patricia, we've come across now to the card phone. Now, this is actually in a wrapper, this card.
Yes, that's right, Des. We sell these phone cards in various different denominations. You'll find you can buy a 20-unit card, a 40-unit card, 100 units, or a 200-unit card. And when you buy them, it is most important that they are in a sealed envelope, so that we are sure that they have not been used and they're not faulty. You can buy them in a number of different locations. Wherever we put a card phone, we always ensure that we find a distributor who can sell the phone cards very close to the boxes themselves. You'll find any newsagents or post offices, or on most station platforms, you will find a kiosk that will sell the phone cards.
Right, I'm just going to tear this open. Whip the card out. Now, Patricia, I notice there's a notch on the one side here. What is that for?
Right, that's to indicate to you which way up the card should be before you place it inside the slots. You might be able to feel that one side of the card is very much shinier than the other side. But if you can't feel that, you will find that there is this notch on the right-hand side of the card, slightly higher than halfway up. Okay? Now, when you place the card into the slots, you should have the shiny side down, and you should have the notch on the right.
Right, so the actual writing side will be facing up and the notch will be facing to the right-hand side.
That's correct, Des.
Do I have to actually pick up the receiver first before I put the card in, or could I put the card in and then pick up the receiver?
It's best to pick up the receiver first and then insert the card and push it in,
Right.
and you should get dial tone.
Right. Now, where is the slot on the actual card phone?
Right, now, you found the receiver.
I'll
It's
pick
in
the
roughly
receiver up,
the same
yes.
position as it was on the cash phone. On the right-hand side of this phone, you will find the keypad, which,
Right.
if I could just show you, The right-hand side.
I'm feeling my way around you. You know my motto, seeing is believing, but feeling is gospel.
Well, as long as you're only feeling the payphone.
Well, I can assure the listeners I'm not feeling Patricia, I'm feeling the payphone.
Now, if you run your fingers further down, you will find that in the centre of the box, towards the bottom, is an indented mouth with a slot right across it.
Yes.
And that is where you should insert your card.
Right. I found the slot. I'm going to
Right.
insert the card.
Now, you must make sure that it is lengthways on.
Yes,
That's
with
right.
the
with
groove on the
knob-
right.
Groove on the right.
And the actual
And
writing facing upwards, the
that's
smooth
right.
side facing down. And you
That's
just
right.
press that in.
That's correct. Now you can dial.
And of course, the dial push buttons are in the same position, more or less, as on the payphone.
That's correct. They're slightly further over to the right, but you will find the layout is exactly the same. And on this one, you will find there's a slightly raised pip on the digit 5, which gives you a central location for the centre of the keypad.
A good idea, so that you know where you are on the keypad. What's this button on the left-hand side of the push buttons?
Right, Des. Well, when you're actually making a call from a card phone, you will find that around 10 seconds before the money on your card runs out, you will hear a rapid bleep tone to tell you that your card is about to run out. When you hear that, you can press that button that you found.
Yes.
Your card will then eject, and you can put a new card in without losing the call that you're currently making. However, you will get an earlier warning than that. When you put your phone card in the first instance and it starts to use the units, as it drops between 4 and 3 units left on your phone card, you will hear a long tone. And that tone will give you an early warning that you've only got about 3 units left.
Well, that'll be useful, yes.
So you can get your fresh card ready so that when you do hear those rapid pips, you can take the other one out and put the new one in without losing the call you're making.
When did you say that's going to come into effect?
Well, that tone is being introduced onto the payphones now, but it'll be on all payphones by April 1991.
Right. So, really, it's just like dropping coins in on the coin box. This, you just press that button. What colour is that button?
It's actually
incidentally?
silver. It's a lot bigger than the buttons on the keypad you'll be able to feel.
That's right. It's
But
just for our
it's-
partially sighted listeners so they
Yes.
know that it's a silver
It's
button.
a silver button right in the middle, in fact, of the mechanism. And as you rightly say, it's just like putting more money in. By pressing that, you can get your card out, the old one out, and the new one in before you actually finish the call you're making.
So I can just carry on with my
So
call.
you can just carry on, yes.
Right, Patricia, I've got my phone card out now. But of course, the phone card isn't the only card British Telecom do.
No, that's quite right, Des. British Telecom also provide the charge card, which is available to anyone with a home or business telephone line. The way this works is that you're issued with a plastic card, an account number, and a secret personal identification number.
Right.
You can then make calls from any of our public telephones and from most normal private phones, and the cost of those calls will be charged to your home or business telephone bill. All the calls you make with the charge card will be itemised on your bill so that you can check the usage you've made of it.
Oh, that's useful too. All it leaves me to do is thank you very much for your time.
You're very welcome, Des, and I hope that what we've done today has helped people to feel at ease and confident with using our payphones.
I think that's an important part. Be confident. And of course, if they have any trouble, they can ring a number, can't they?
Yes, if there's ever any real difficulty using the payphones, all they have to do is dial 100 and operators will be only too pleased to talk them through.
Patricia, thank you.
You're very welcome, Des.
Des Chandler talking to British Telecom's Patricia Vaz. Now, if you turn over this special cassette, Des and I will be investigating BT's free directory inquiry service for blind and disabled customers. Join us on the other side.